The movie opens with a warrior named Yang, a member of the deadly Set Kill clan. He arrives at an enemy fortress on a brutal mission to eliminate the rival clan's master. In just moments, Yang cuts through wave after wave of enemy fighters like they're nothing, before finally taking down the clan leader himself with shocking ease. But right after the battle ends, Yang notices something unexpected: a tiny baby girl, the dead master's daughter. At first, he prepares to finish the mission completely, but the second he sees the innocent smile on her face, something inside him changes. So instead of ending her life, he picks her up and walks away from the battlefield. Not long after leaving, warriors from Yang's own Set Kill clan catch up to him, determined to eliminate the baby themselves. And to protect her, Yang is forced to do the unthinkable: turn his blade against his own people. One by one, he takes them down, before escaping with the child and heading toward America, to a small desert town called Lode, where his old friend Smiley once lived. A few days later, Yang finally reaches the town. The first person he runs into is a drunk man named Ron. Yang shows him a photo of Smiley and asks where he can find him, but Ron delivers bad news. Smiley died a few years ago. Before passing away, he used to run a laundry shop in town. After hearing that, Yang quietly heads there. Inside the laundry, he meets a woman named Lynn, who now runs the place herself. She asks how he knew Smiley, and Yang explains that they were childhood friends. Then Lynn notices the little girl and assumes she's his daughter. But Yang calmly tells her the child lost her parents. She decides to name the baby April, and even offers Yang a place to stay, as long as he helps around the laundry. The next day, Yang sits quietly inside the shop, while some local girls drop off clothes. Instead of helping, they start teasing him. Ron steps in and scares them away, before taking Yang out for food. On the way there, Yang notices Lynn secretly practicing target shooting. She's clearly trying hard, but her aim is terrible. As time passes, Yang slowly begins adapting to this peaceful little town. He helps at the laundry, spends time with the locals, and even starts creating a flower garden in the middle of the dry desert land. Little by little, everyone joins in to help him, and eventually the empty ground blooms with flowers everywhere. And honestly, this part of the movie says a lot without directly saying it. One day, while Yang and Ron are playing cards, Yang notices Lynn placing flowers on the grave of a young child. Curious, he asks Ron about it. Ron reveals that when Lynn was only 16, a cruel outlaw named Colonel rode into town with his gang. They robbed people. Colonel had a disturbing habit. He would line women up and inspect their teeth, choosing whoever he wanted based on that alone. That day, Colonel chose Lynn. At the same time, Colonel's men captured Lynn's parents and her little brother. As Lynn was dragged toward him, she suddenly grabbed boiling food oil nearby and threw it straight into Colonel's face before trying to escape. Furious, Colonel pulled out his gun and fired at the fleeing Lynn, knocking her down. Her father rushed toward her to protect her, but Colonel shot him without hesitation. Then, Lynn's mother and little brother were killed too, all right in front of her eyes. Ron explains that when they later went to bury the family, they discovered Lynn was still breathing. They brought her home, cared for her, and slowly she recovered. But from that day forward, she made a promise to herself. One day, she would kill Colonel and avenge her family, along with every girl whose life he destroyed. Later, Yang watches Lynn practicing shooting again. No matter how hard she tries, she keeps missing the target. She says she'll never become a good shooter, but Yang decides to teach her in his own strange way. He blindfolds her, then stands directly in front of the target himself. Lynn is shocked, but Yang calmly tells her to stop relying only on her eyes. Instead, he says she must listen carefully to every tiny movement her target makes, and attack based on instinct. Lynn focuses completely, and suddenly every single shot lands perfectly. Excited, she rushes over and thanks Yang. That night, Lynn admits something important. Smiley had already told her about Yang long ago. He told her Yang belonged to the feared Set Kill clan, and that one day he might arrive here. She asks him why he ever joined such a terrifying group. Yang quietly reveals his past. When he was a child, he was working in the fields with his father when a wandering warrior suddenly appeared, just to test the sharpness of his sword. The man killed Yang's father right in front of him. From then on, Yang decided he would become the strongest swordsman in the world. After saying that, Yang shows Lynn his sword, but strangely, the blade is completely sealed inside its sheath. Then he finally tells her the truth about April. She's the daughter of the enemy clan master he killed. Yang explains that if he ever unsheathes this sword again, the spirits of everyone he's ever killed will cry out through it, and the Set Kill clan will instantly know where he is. For several more days, Yang continues training Lin. Then finally, Christmas arrives. The whole town gathers together happily, celebrating. Suddenly, Colonel arrives with his gang, immediately terrorizing everyone. His men humiliate a clown performer by balancing objects on his head and firing shots at them for fun. Then Colonel places a drink on top of the man's head and prepares to shoot it too. But before he can, drunk Ron suddenly stumbles in, grabs the drink, chugs it down, and openly mocks Colonel in front of everyone. Colonel becomes furious and orders his men to tie Ron behind a horse and drag him through town. Colonel lines up all the women again, inspecting their teeth one by one just like before. He notices one married woman whose teeth catch his attention, and without mercy, her husband is killed in front of everyone. Then Colonel notices the couple's daughters and orders his men to clean them up and bring them to him. But a little later, someone unexpected walks into Colonel's room instead. It's Lin. Dressed up and hiding a knife, she slowly approaches him, preparing to finally take revenge after all these years. But Colonel already has a gun aimed directly at her. He tells her he recognized her immediately, just from her scent. He knew she was the same girl from 16 years ago. At the same time, Ron rushes to Yang and reveals that Lin went after Colonel alone. And now, Yang has no choice. To save her, he finally unsheathes the sword he swore never to draw again. The second the blade leaves its sheath, somewhere far away, the Set Kill Master senses it instantly, and he begins moving toward Yang. Inside Colonel's hideout, Lin is completely surrounded. Colonel's men have her restrained, and Colonel himself is preparing to force himself on her after tormenting her for years. But just before things go too far, the lights suddenly shift. Bodies begin dropping around the room. But just when Yang is about to finish Colonel himself, Lin stops him. She looks straight at Yang and says, "This revenge belongs to her," and that tiny moment gives Colonel the opening he needs. He grabs Lin, uses her as a shield, then crashes out through a window before escaping onto his horse. Lin immediately throws a knife at him with full force, hitting the rider and knocking him down. But when they get closer, they realize something frustrating. It wasn't Colonel. He used someone else's bait and escaped again. Yang then warns Lin that everything is now much worse. Since he unsheathed his sword, the Set Kill clan already knows where he is. He tells everyone he has to leave immediately, but Ron disagrees. He reminds Yang that Colonel escaped and will absolutely return with an even bigger army, and without Yang, the town has no chance of surviving. Then one of the townspeople asks the obvious question, how are they supposed to fight armed killers when they barely even have weapons? And suddenly, we learn there's much more to this drunk man than anyone realized. Ron takes everyone to his wife's grave and tells them to dig underneath it. Hidden below the grave, they discover an entire stash of weapons and explosives. Soon, the entire town begins preparing for war. At the same time, Yang stands outside alone, sword in hand, silently waiting. The next day, Colonel finally rides toward town with a massive group of armed men behind him. But the second they enter the town, Ron shoots a stick of dynamite from a tower above, triggering a huge explosion that wipes out several of Colonel's riders instantly, and Yang begins moving through the battlefield like a ghost. Meanwhile, Ron keeps firing from above, picking off Colonel's men one after another. Colonel quickly realizes Ron is the problem, and sends several gunmen to kill him at the tower. But before they reach him, Ron slides down safely using a rope, and seconds later, the tower itself explodes. More of Colonel's men are taken out in the blast. At this point, it already feels like total war. But then, things somehow get even worse. Out of nowhere, the Set Kill warriors finally arrive. The second people see them, fear spreads instantly. These fighters are on a completely different level from Colonel's gang. Yang immediately tells Lin to take April somewhere safe. And then, the real battle begins. The Set Kill warriors charge into town, attacking everyone in their path, while Colonel's remaining men continue firing at civilians too. The streets become complete chaos. At the same time, several Set Kill fighters begin chasing after April, determined to kill her once and for all. Seeing this, Yang rushes after them immediately. To protect Lin and April, he fights his own clan members head on, cutting through them one after another. Watching Yang betray his own people like this fills the Set Kill master with pure rage. Yang, Lin, and April eventually hide inside a nearby house, hoping to escape. but the set kill warriors break in and attack them there too. Lin quickly hands April to Ron, then Lin herself grabs a sword and joins the fight beside Yang. Together, they battle through the warriors and finally manage to get outside. But then, they find Ron badly wounded. With his final breaths, Ron tells them that Colonel kidnapped April and took her away. And after saying that, Ron dies. Meanwhile, Colonel locks himself inside another building with April, placing armed men outside to guard the area heavily. A little later, the first people to arrive there are actually the set kill warriors. But the moment they approach, Colonel's men unleash automatic gunfire and wipe them out instantly. And then suddenly, the lights go out. One by one, Colonel's guards begin falling in the darkness. Yang has entered the building, moving silently through the shadows. He eliminates every man standing between him and April, before finally reaching the room where Colonel is hiding. Inside, Colonel is holding April, while aiming a gun directly at her. Colonel fires, but Yang moves so fast that he slices the bullet apart midair with his sword, before rescuing April from his hands. After saving her, Yang steps back and gives Lin the chance she's waited 16 years for, her revenge. A brutal fight breaks out between Lin and Colonel. At first, Lin badly injures him, forcing him to collapse to the ground. And finally, after carrying this pain for half her life, she kills the man who destroyed her family. But the movie still isn't finished, because the second Yang and Lin walk out of the room, the set kill master is waiting for them. He tells Yang there's only one way to end this. Yang must personally kill April, the daughter of the enemy clan master. But Yang refuses. Instead, he chooses to stand against his own master. And what follows is easily the best fight in the entire movie. The two greatest swordsmen clash in a fast and vicious battle. But in the end, Yang finally overpowers him. With one final strike, he defeats his master once and for all. As he dies, the set kill master gives Yang one final warning. No matter where he takes the little girl, the remaining set kill warriors will continue hunting her forever. After the battle ends, Yang walks back toward Lin, who's holding April safely in her arms. Yang tells Lin to take care of April, because he's leaving for good. He explains that the set kill warriors can only track him through his sword. As long as he stays away from them, Lin and April might finally have a peaceful life. Without saying much more, Yang walks away alone into the distance. Months later, we see him living quietly in a freezing, snowy land far away from civilization. In the final scene, more set kill warriors arrive to hunt him down. Yang slowly pulls out his sword once again, preparing for another endless battle. And with that cold, haunting image, this incredible movie comes to an end.